There's one question my roommate always asks me every time I tell her that I watched a new movie, and that is it any good? And today's answer I can give to you right away. No. In fact, I say no and raise you another question. What happens when you take one of Tamil cinema's best directors, one of Tamil cinema's best actors, a cinematic team of excellence from actors to cinematographers and the like? An absolute dumpster fire. Actually, not even a dumpster fire, because at least that's big and hot, albeit a little stinky. No, this is more like the feeling of like air leaving a balloon. Sad, pathetic, and ultimately lackluster. My name is Sankavi, and today we are going to be talking about Mani Ratnam's Thug Life.
அவர்தான் கதையிலேயே ஒரு பெரிய டர்னிங் பாயிண்ட். அவர் வந்ததுக்கு அப்புறம் தான் கதையில ஒரு கசமுசல்லாம் ஏற்பட்டு ஐயோ.
Thug Life is a movie from earlier this year, directed by Mani Ratnam, and it is like the first project in over 30 years between Mani Ratnam and Kamal Hassan since the 1987 movie Nayagan. Actually, almost like 40 years now that I think about it. It was originally written by Kamal Hassan, who then gave it to Mani Ratnam to kind of transform into his own story and direct. The cast is filled with an immense amount of talent from Nassar, Simbu, Abhirami, Trisha, and people had really high hopes. Then the movie came out and the reactions were not the happiest. Also, can't believe I'm saying this, the title Thug Life comes from the song Thug Life by Tupac. So I came into this film with the idea of like, I like Mani Ratnam films, and like sometimes when people say they really don't like a movie, I actually totally like end up liking it, or like the opposite, because I can be a contrarian when it comes to films sometimes, where like someone really likes a movie and I can be like, it's terrible. So I went into this movie with a little bit of an open mind. The movie is not good. It is extremely disappointing given the amount of talent across all the departments in this movie. And while I can't say that this movie's like 100% bad, there's like fleeting things here and there that are good. It's like at least 95% bad. The plot is half-baked, the characters are not nearly as fleshed out as they should be for a Mani Ratnam film, the dialogue is clunky, and there is absolutely nothing grounding in the visuals. At the very least, even if this wasn't like up to the expectations people wanted, it should at least be fun, and this movie is not fun. I have a lot of things to say, and we'll be essentially recapping the movie while I give my thoughts on it. So without further ado, let's just get into it. The movie opens with a man standing in an open field while we hear Kamal Hassan's voiceover, where he introduces himself as Rangaraya Shaktivel, also just known as Shakti. The intro is one of my favorite parts of the film. There's something just so quintessentially Mani Ratnam about it. The visuals, the voiceover, the like humming BGM, but also it's like the way that he's introducing his character. My favorite thing about Mani Ratnam films is like how character driven they are. Like, yes, there's a plot to this movie, but it's almost like often secondary to like the characterization. You see this in Talabadi, in Alaipaide, Guru, Ravanan, etc. So when I first watched Thug Life, that was kind of like the expectation that I had, especially with this intro. Shakti, standing in this field, tells us about how from the moment he was born, being a thug or a gangster was written into his fate. He also tells us about his relationship with capital D, death. About how death has always been coming after him starting from when he was born, and death, who was meant to be coming for him, took his mother instead, basically insinuating that she like died in childbirth. And from that moment on, he and death have been playing a game to see who wins. He says that this story is about him and death, and that is capital D, death. When I say capital D, death, by the way, I'm talking like death personified. The first thing that comes to mind for me when I saw this was, have you guys seen Puss in Boots: The Last Wish? Which, if you haven't, I'm about to spoil it here, but in The Last Wish, Puss has lost like 8 of his 9 lives, and he's down to his last life. And there is this wolf that keeps like chasing after him, like wherever he goes, this wolf just like always ends up finding him. And it is later revealed that the wolf is Death, like capital D, Death. And Wolf Death is mad because he feels like Puss was not like valuing his life the first like 8 times that he dies, and that's why he's like here to take his 9th life away. The reason that I bring this up is because my expectation coming into this movie was that it was just gonna be like another gangster movie, which isn't really my vibe. But it was gonna have like some good visuals along with some wonderful characterization, which is my vibe. And with this intro, I was actually kind of excited. I was like, oh, we're gonna get like some duel with death. There's going to be an overarching theme of like arrogance and thinking that you're God or that you're immortal, but really you're just like the rest of us. Something kind of along those lines, much like The Last Wish. And I am here to tell you firsthand, you are about to be disappointed on literally all fronts. The next scene shifts into black and white, and we are in 1994 Old Delhi. Is that just like regular Delhi? Like, I'm not familiar with that part of India, and I've only ever heard like people refer to it as either Delhi or New Delhi. That's just what I always thought it was. I don't know. A newspaperman goes around this like apartment building delivering papers along with his 2 children, and then we cut to a room in the building where we meet a man named Sadanand and Nassar's character Manikavel, who also goes by Manikam. Manikam is Shakti's brother, and Sadanand is the leader of Shakti's like rival gang. Sadanand talks about how he originally took Shakti and Manikam under his wing and showed him the ropes of the mafia world. And this is how they act like in return. How dare. This is when we see Shakti for the first time, and he literally visually like comes out of the shadows. And the 2 groups go back and forth. Sadanand wants compromise. Shakti believes like they can't trust him. And as this conversation's going, we cut back and forth between them and then the 2 children with the newspaper man, a little boy and a girl, as they go up and down the hallways of the building, leaving paper at people's doors. The boy's name is Amar, and his little sister's name is Chandra. We then see Sadanand and Manikam shake hands, clearly coming to some sort of an agreement, and at the same time, we see cops show up to raid the building. As Sadanand leaves the building, he like nods to one of the cops that's like hiding, insinuating that he's like working with the cops to get Shakti's gang, which like, hey Shaktivel, you were kind of right. This dude is not to be trusted. Shakti does notice the police through the window shutters of the room that he's in, and his gang's like, damn, Sadanand set us up. And while that's happening, the newspaper man and his children all get like separated. So that's like the newspaper guy who's the dad, the little boy Amar, and his little sister Chandra. The paper guy goes on to deliver his next paper, and Amar somewhere else sees the cops with guns running up a set of stairs, and Chandra is like nowhere to be seen. So the paper guy ends up at Shakti's gang's like room's door at the same time that Amar ends up like catching up to him. And when the paperman rings Shakti's doorbell, despite the fact that one of Shakti's goons confirms it's just the paper guy, some other guy in the gang shoots him through the window, and Amar like witnesses his dad getting shot. The gang uses this as a distraction to escape from the police, which I don't really get. I don't understand how that works, but a shootout begins in the apartment building. We then see Chandra crying somewhere alone amidst all the like chaos, and Amar, who runs to his father, who is now dead. Shakti comes and tears a crying Amar away, who by the way keeps yelling for his sister Chandra, while we also get cuts of Chandra somewhere else in the building yelling for Amar. As Shakti exits the building amongst like the crowd with Amar in his hands, a policeman follows behind him, and despite Shakti trying to like use Amar as like a shield, he still gets shot, but then his like goons drive by and like take him and Amar away in this like van. So Shakti finds out that Amar has been orphaned and that he has no one except for his little sister Chandra, who is only 4 and lost at the building during the raid. We get a little montage of Amar going back to the building to find Chandra, who he's unfortunately unable to like locate, and then we see him perform the last rites for his dad. Shakti comes to Amar at the funeral and asks if he knows how his father died and who he thinks killed him. Amar replies saying, your men, Shakti's men, killed his dad thinking his dad was a cop. Now, we know that that's not what happened. Shakti's men shot Amar's dad knowing that he was just a paperman and decided to use the shooting as a distraction to escape the police. Does Shakti correct Amar? No, he's just like, yeah, we'll just say that's what happened. Okay, buddy, that surely isn't gonna come back to bite you in the butt at all. Ahmed asks Shakti if he can have some money to put Chandra's photo in the missing persons column of the paper, and Shakti promises Ahmed that he will find Chandra himself, like no matter what, and bring her back to Ahmed. Shakti then tells Ahmed, "You saved my life and protected me from death, so now our fates are intertwined and we have like become one under the eyes of God." The screen then fades out into the title card. Okay, so let's unpack this because that was a lot. The first, like, biggest glaring issue that I have with this part, and there's a few things that I don't like, but the first glaring issue is the choice of black and white. So this scene takes place in 1994 Delhi, and if they had not put that as the title card and had not made it black and white, I would have not known. There is almost next to nothing in this entire part that indicates that it's 1994 in Delhi. There are no fashion indicators, there's no hairstyle indicators, even something as small as like the radio at a tea kada, like playing a Hindi song from 1994 would have been nice. And to me, that's just a poor directorial choice. Like, making something black and white doesn't suddenly make it 1994, and that choice just feels really lazy to me. Not to mention, I didn't feel like it was 1994, and it does kind of take you out of the scene a little bit, because it's like, oh, they said it was 1994, but you're like kind of like noticing all these things about it where you're like, it's just the present with a black and white like gradient over it. The other things that were not really that great is, one, the dialogue. It's super clunky, it doesn't really flow a whole lot, and this is a problem not just in this scene, but like throughout the movie this is an issue. A lot of tell not show like in the dialogue. And then two, the acting and the staging of the raid was just bad. The policemen don't give off any sense of urgency or a vibe of, oh, we're like trying to take down this big gang leader. Even when that one policeman comes out behind Shakti where Shakti's holding Ahmed, there's like no urgency in Shakti to get away. And there also seems to be no like anything from the policeman. No urgency, no like, aha, got you, sucker. And like not even like cool nonchalance. It's like giving nothing. Absolutely nothing. If you could give negative in that scene, that's what it was giving. And I just don't understand that, to be honest. Like, I can't tell if it's like a director's choice or like bad acting or like a mix of both. I don't know. The one thing I liked in this 1994 part is that there are a few nice camera shots. When we first see Shakti, he like comes out of the shadow like in his shot, like that. When we see Ahmed coming back to the building looking for his sister, he's also like in the shadow, like his body is silhouetted against like the apartment. I quite like that. There's also this shot at the funeral. Let's not get too happy, guys. I have some gripes. But there's a shot at the funeral where Amar's burying his daughter, where Amar is burying his father. And the shot is set up with us, the viewers, like in the hole where they're like burying a person, and we're like looking up at like Shakti and Amar like circling us essentially. And I feel like it would have been a great moment to be like, oh, like we're looking from the perspective of death, right? Because like capital D, death personified. And that's like why we're in the perspective of the whole, because like we're death looking up at Amar and Shakti. But no, that's not what they did, because this is not like a shot styling or like thematically a thing that they bring up ever again. It is actually this movie makes me want to scream, because total side tangent, but there's just something so frustrating about how like a person can just have access to literally all the resources in the world, right? Like you have the money, you have the time, you have access to like some of the greatest minds in cinema, right? And why is a girl in her room thinking up of better stuff than you? I have only seen this movie twice. I came up with this seeing this movie twice, right? Like movie people don't make a movie overnight. They do sometimes. But like this movie was not made overnight. You had ample time, ample resources to think of things like this. And they just didn't, and it's both mind-boggling and frustrating, and I hate it. And it just pisses me off. Moving on, the movie then flashes forward to 2016. We're still in Delhi. We're at like a college or something, and a guy is singing literally the worst song I've ever heard on a makeshift stage. And then we meet a girl named Shanti, who is Manikam's daughter. She confronts the guy that we saw singing with a positive pregnancy test. Also, I'm pretty sure he's like bumping coke when she finds him. And Shanti's like, oh my god, what do we do? And the guy, who she calls Ranu, is like, bruh, I literally don't care, and like leaves. We then see Shanti leave her dad a voicemail saying like she made a big mistake, she doesn't know what to do, and then falls out of her bedroom window, killing herself. All while Ranu happily finishes his like terrible stage performance. Turns out Ranu is the nephew of the gang leader from the 1994 scene, Sadanand. Shakti is rightfully pissed and vows and says that Sadanand's nephew is dead. And then it cuts to Jaisalmer, is that how you say that? Jaisalmer, and a single road running through like the dry desert. And on this road, we see there are two cars coming from like one direction and a single camouflage patterned car with the label Border Patrol coming from the opposite direction with its siren on. In the pair of cars is Sadanand's nephew Ranu, and the Border Patrol car nearly crashes into the other two cars, and on its megaphone announces that this road belongs to the Border Defense Force and private cars are not allowed. Therefore, they, Border Control, have orders to take Ranu back to the barracks. Ranu, stupid idiot that he is, gets excited and like runs out of his car and into the Border Patrol car, which, dude, how do you have like that little of life preservation skills? Like, I feel like a rich person of all people needs to have like some level of stranger danger. Sadanand's guy is telling Ranu to wait because he at least has half a brain, but Ranu just gets into the Border Patrol car without like verifying literally anything about who's driving the car, who else is in the car. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Not to like victim blame for a second, but like, how stupid can you be? Like, I get it, people shouldn't be like kidnapping and all, but like, come on. Turns out that Border Control car was not sent by the minister like Ranu thought. Wow, who could have seen that one coming? And in the Border Control car is none other than Amar as an adult and some of Shakti's like gang men. So adult Amar is played by Simbu, who's got like really long hair and a top knot, and I actually really like this look on him. And there is this song that plays as his intro, O Mara, sung by Paul Dappa, which, side note, can I just say is a cute ass rap name. Now the song like starts out with this like beachy upbeat vibe, which I understand is like supposed to be for Amar's like playfulness. I just felt like it was a bit out of place. Like, he's supposed to be this like cool gangster guy, like he kills people, and the song I low-key felt like made him seem more like a comedy piece, which could have worked. Except this isn't a comedy movie. That is like not the vibe that they've been like giving us so far. Not to mention, the guy's cousin not just died, but killed herself. And he's literally here to get the guy who caused her to do that. The tone up until now has been like pretty serious, and this song, in my opinion, was just not the vibe. Okay, so fine, they give him this like playful entry or whatever, right? Surely they'll like continue that tone for a bit as we like get to know Amar as like a character right now. Nope. They cut to New Delhi and we are back to being serious. Sadanand shows up to some ruins where his nephew is being tied up and held. Ranu is like pleading for his life and Sadanand tries to negotiate for his nephew's release. And now this is supposed to be a serious scene. There's this like choral-esque like chanting and singing in the background. Shakti's men are telling Sadanand the different ways they can kill his son, and yet something is lacking. I don't feel Sadanand's desperation to get his nephew released. He's sure asking Shakti's men not to kill Ranu, but to me it doesn't feel like he seems that stressed about it. I wish, whether it was like through sound effects or different shot types or just like the acting in general, I wish they would show us that he actually gives a fuck about the fact that his nephew is about to die, but it's all like too casual. It's the same feeling I got before in the 1994 scene when the police was coming after Shakti, where like I'm just not convinced about their feelings or their goals. The the movie is like not giving me anything to confirm the seriousness of what is going on right now. So Shakti and Manikam come like out from the shadows. Sadanan starts begging Shaktivel to not kill his nephew, but he's also just like standing there. I'm sorry, you didn't bring any backup, and I'm supposed to believe that you're like the leader of one of the top gangs in Delhi. Like, at least I'm convinced that Ranu is completely pathetic. Shaktivel is like not scary at all as he threatens Ranu and then shoots him in the head. And then the scene cuts to Ranu's funeral where his brother is performing his last rites. Also, it was Manikam whose daughter died. Like, why is he not getting the chance to like rough up this guy? Or like, at the very least, get to like shoot him to death? The police and press are now at Shaktivel's house to arrest him for Ranu's murder, and it is where we officially meet his daughter Mange and his wife Jiva. Shakti announces that none of the women of the house are to leave the house without a man. Okay, misogyny, love you, girl. He also tells Amar that while he's in jail, it is Amar's job to take care of the mafia business well. Now, I had noticed that Amar's shirt color is the same color as the house in this scene, and I was like, oh my god, is this symbolism that while like Shakti is in jail, Amar is like the home for his family and his goons? Nope. His shirt just happens to match. There is no correlation because this is not a thing that they do ever again. Amar wonders why Shakti is not making Manikam in charge while he's in jail, and Shakti says that Manikam is too impulsive. When Shakti announces Amar as the interim leader to his men, they look on kind of like questioningly, and Manikam is also like, okay. So two of Shakti's guys have a conversation about Shakti leaving his position to Amar, and one of the guys says, "Power நம்மள தேடி வராது, நம்ம தான் அதை தேடி போணும்." And it basically translates to, power doesn't come looking for us, we're the ones that have to go looking for it. We then cut to Manikam having drinks with Amar. Manikam is like, did he do something wrong? Like, he feels insulted by Shakti picking Amar over him. And especially so since Shakti like announced it to the whole group without telling him beforehand. Amar tries to console Manikam as he like gets more drunk. And between the conversation about power between those like two guys, and then this like sort of unease from Manikam, the foundations are being laid for a possible takeover while Shakti is in jail. In the next scene, two women come to the police station to visit Shakti, played by Vadivakarsi and Trisha. Also, I'm really digging Vadivakarsi in this shortcut. It is a vibe. Something to note here, Shakti is not being visited in a cell. He is dressed normally and in like a normal room. It obviously means that he's got like ties in the police department, like he is in the mafia after all. And there's clearly an immense amount of corruption happening here. Vadivakarsi's character waits outside the room while Trisha goes in, and it is just her and Shakti in the room alone. And as he begins to walk towards her, we get these like cuts of like a flashback to Trisha's character and when Shakti first met her. She is like a prostitute or a stripper or both, unclear to me, but Shakti asks her if she is Chandra, Amar's little sister. She doesn't say no, but instead says that she is Indrani from Vellore, and asks that if she was the Chandra he's looking for, would he rescue her from this place. So he like leaves with her, and we cut back to the present. Now, here's the thing. They like start flirting with each other, and there's like a super romantic vibe going on, but I just can't get behind it. I'm sorry, I just can't. Like, he is a married man. He has a wife and children who do like rely on him to some extent, and he is shacking it up with a prostitute. And we're supposed to be rooting for this? As for Indrani, like on one hand, she is a sex worker who's been exploited. He is someone who got her away from that specific exploitation. More about that later. But she's still a homewrecker? Like, him cheating, shitty and terrible. I don't like it. Her homewrecking, also not cute or cool, and I really don't like it. Then we get that god-awful line from the trailer.
Madam, I am your only
And we also get a montage song, Sugar Baby. It's not good. It's not a good song. Indrani is also like a playback singer now. I don't know what's going on. She also regularly meets Shakti in jail. We get clips of Amar and Manikam and like the other goons taking care of business while Shakti's in jail. Jiva comes to visit her husband at one point, like bringing him food. And we get a shot of Amar meeting Indrani in her dressing room. And he makes googly eyes at her, which means we're gonna have a father and son being into the same lady trope. This is so fun and I really love this. Also, I know like technically they're not like father and son, but like they basically are. Amar was essentially adopted and raised by Shakti and Jiva. Like those are his adoptive parents now. And like Mange is his sister and like Shanti is his cousin, etc. So Sadanand meets with Amar and Manikam and Shakti is like pissed when he finds out. Sadanand is going into politics, therefore wouldn't be able to like run his gang stuff because there'll be too many eyes on him. So he wants Shakti's group to do it and then just give him like 30% of the profits. And Shakti's like, this guy is literally my arch nemesis. How dare you? Amar ends up accepting Sadanand's deal. They all fight. Amar is like, this is gonna make our business boom. Shakti's like, I don't give a fuck about the money. I hate that old canker sore. Manikam is like, Amar made the deal, not me. Also, you don't respect me and you killed my daughter. Huh? Shakti then has this line about how girls should go to college and be independent. Yay, feminism. Totally makes up for the misogyny. Woo! Shakti's like quite adamant that he hates this deal and wants nothing to do with it, and that Amar is basically like overstretching his power. We then cut to Jiva coming to Amar saying something is wrong, that Mange's phone is switched off, and says that Mange left with Naga, the son of Shakti's right-hand guy Sivaguru. So Amar finds the two of them in a club. Mange and Naga are like in love, but they're worried that Shakti's gonna say no to the alliance because Naga is a different caste than them. So Shakti requests Amar to not tell Jiva he is out of jail for 3 days so that he can go shack it up with Indrani. Still don't find this cute or romantic. This is not cute at all. No matter how much cute romantic like music you put over it, I'm not into it. I also wish we got more of Adi. We got to see, like, she is such a good actress and so unbelievably underutilized in this movie. Like, I genuinely don't even know what she's there for. Indrani and Shakti end up spending more like a week together, not 3 days, in like some villa that I'm assuming he owns. And when he's done, his driver tells him that his wife and daughter are not at home and that they're going back to their village, Kailpatna. And as they drive away, we get this shot of Indrani sitting on the front steps of the house, and her face just like slowly drops, which can only seemingly be because she understands that she is the mistress. Shakti is still like very much married to and like supposedly in love with his wife. Like, this is a situation of the married man is just never gonna leave his wife to come live with you. Like, you're just always going to be the side hoe, and I feel like this is her coming to like, I don't know if coming to terms with that, but like realizing that. This is also why I don't like that Madam I'm Your Only Adam shit, because it's like, okay, you're her only Adam, but she is not your only Eve. Back at the house, Shakti is looking for Jiva and he is upset that she is not there, which is like hot shit coming from the guy who just shacked it up with a prostitute for a week instead of coming home to his family when he got out of jail. And he was in jail for like an entire year, and the very first thing you do is go spend a week-long honeymoon with some woman, then seeing your like actual family. Okay, cool. Amar insinuates that Jiva is at Sivaguru's house, and then Shakti, piece of shit that he is, for a moment just like assumes that Jiva is shacking it up with Sivaguru, which like, dude, you just got back from sleeping with a prostitute for a week. You don't get to be mad. They then go to Sivaguru's house, and Amar admits that Mange and Naga want to get married, and Shakti ends up accepting. Shakti then finds Jiva in the kitchen, and she's very much upset. She knows that he spent a week with Indrani, and this man has the audacity to compare cheating on his wife to a sickness akin to having BP or sugar. Jiva says, I don't even know who you are anymore. And then Shakti like describes this like hypothetical future where they'll be on this big plot of land with like a bunch of farm animals and like a school for the poor at the age of 90, and it'll be just the two of them, and she'll say De Shakti just like she did when they were school kids. And then he asks her to call him that right now. The absolute audacity of this man. Dude, you should be on your knees begging for her forgiveness, not making demands. Like, she does do it, and without all the context of like him being like a cheating piece of shit with no remorse, this would have been a really cute scene. Like, if it was about, say, he got out of jail and then he spent like a week on like gang shit and then came home and she was like upset because he didn't come straight home, then honestly, I would have found the whole scene in the kitchen quite heartwarming and really cute, actually. I think like romance or just like sweet relationships between like older couples in movies, especially in Indian movies, are like so non-existent, and I think that this scene could have kind of like made up for that, except that he's a cheating bastard, and because of that, this scene like just puts a sour taste in your mouth. And you know what? I also wish we got more like Amar and Mange. So Amar like loses a sister, right? Like he loses Chandra, but then he like gains one through Mange because of like being adopted by like Shakti and Jiva. And we get these like very, very little like hints to like him being like an older brother to Mange. Like they have very much an older brother, younger sister like relationship and like vibe. And I just wish it was delved more into in the movie. I don't know. I feel like that would have made for very nice characterization to delve into that relationship specifically. But it's actually just not touched on at all in this film. Also, before watching this movie, I thought that Sanya Malhotra was gonna be Simbu's Jodi, and I was so sad to find out that she's just there for the song. The song is really good, by the way. It's like one of the best things in the movie and one of the only good things in it. It is so very quintessentially Mani Ratnam in all the best ways possible. Like, if there is one thing that Mani Ratnam is really good at, it is a wedding song. And then also just like the way he like utilizes wedding songs to like give you like characterization or like plot moments or whatever like within that. So Indrani shows up to the wedding. Jiva is unhappy to see her, obviously. And then we get this whack-ass convo between Amar and Indrani. Indrani is like, haha, you like Mange, don't you? And Amar's like, no, that's my sister. My type is Indrani. And then Indrani is like, well, my type is him, gesturing to Shakti. And I'm literally gonna yak everywhere. I'm gonna puke. I don't think you understand how much I hate this. Now, do you remember when Shakti first went to jail, we like got this short convo between like two of his goons? So there is Patros and Anburaj. Honestly, I had to Wikipedia these names because in my head, I've just been calling them Super Deluxe Guy and the other one. Anyways, Anburaj is the one that we get the like line from, like Pavartana Vara de Nambadam Poyerkunu or whatever. Anyways, that guy is trying to sort of like plant the seed of discord into Manikam, and I guess that's like him trying to like find his power or whatever. Shakti is also feeling kind of uneasy because he is seeing Manigam and Amar like meet all these people at the wedding that he like doesn't know, or like doesn't know what their relationship is or what they're talking about. He's like very much like in the dark of like what's going on in his own gang. And also like these people seem like they're like politicians or something. So Shakti's like, everything has changed around me and I don't know if it's because I've changed or everyone around me has changed. And we get a shot of him in the mirror like while he's saying this because he's like reflecting on himself. Introspection, we love to see it. But Jiva tells him essentially that he has nothing to worry about, and we get a shot of Shakti looking straight into the camera, but I'll be real, I don't really understand the significance of him looking straight into the camera. I also totally thought that the wedding was gonna get bombed and like Mange would die or like something would happen, but nothing happened. Instead, Shakti's like driving with his guys, sans Amar like going somewhere, and the car gets shot at and this like whole car chase slash like shootout scene happens. We find out that it was Ranu, like his or it wasn't Ranu, but it was like his brother, the one that we like saw doing his like last rites and stuff. The younger brother ordered a hit on Shakti's gang. Shakti ends up getting hospitalized. We then meet Jay, a inspector who comes from like a line of policemen. He's in Shakti's hospital room to interrogate him about the shootout, and I think he's supposed to be this like cool chic police guy, but he just like doesn't give me that vibe. And there's this bit where he like takes a call from Manikam's phone, and then like Manikam tries to like take the phone back. Jay like pulls it out of his reach, but then Manikam like doesn't do anything. Like, you're telling me the guy that's part of one of the scariest gangs in Delhi, who like has the police in the palm of his hand, to the point where the call Jay took was about his immediate transfer to a different city. Like, you're telling me the brother to the leader of said gang would not just grab that phone back and would just stand there and let Jay do this? I don't get it. Like, Shakti does put his hand up as if to tell Manikam to stand down, but I don't know. This happens a lot in this movie where things move really slowly. Like, people's reactions and such to things feel like they're like moving in jello. So Amar comes to see Shakti at the hospital, and Shakti asks him where he was during the shootout, implying that like Amar had something to do with it. Amar is hesitant to say where exactly he was, and Jiva ends up saying it instead. They were both at the hospital with Mange because Mange suffered a miscarriage. We then cut to a conversation between Amar, Patros, and another guy that I don't remember the name of. They're in what I believe is Amar's bedroom, and there is Chandra's childhood photo on the wall. Patros talks about how suspicion is like a cancer. It'll slowly suck your life out. And Amar asks Patros what he would have done if it were him that Shakti suspected. And Patros says that he would have killed Shakti. He tells Amar that in our business, when there is suspicion, death is the only solution. The only question being is it us or them who dies? We then get kind of like a reiteration from the line from Anbaraj earlier. So Patros says, "Power நம்ம வீடு தேடி வராது, நம்ம தான் கையில எடுத்துக்கணும்," which roughly translates to power won't just come to us, we have to take power with our own hands. So the family goes to like a koil, and Shakti asks Amar to come with him in the car and for Jiva and his brother to leave separately. Shakti recounts the shootout with closed eyes. He talks about how he saw death with a capital D in front of him. So this is like the first time since the intro that death is being brought up, and I mean like personified death. Like, it's the first time it's being brought up since the 1994 scene where Shakti tells Amar that they are now both one. We're about an hour into this movie, and this is the first time that it's being brought up again. By the way, he said in the intro that this story is about him and death. This is the first time they bring it up again. Shakti talks about how Amar is always with him, but that day Amar wasn't there, and that's why he thought that Amar colluded with Sadanand to kill Shakti. Amar says, "But you said I'm basically your son." To which Shakti says, essentially, this is Sagajan for Delhi, which like... He says that for ages, sons killing their dads, younger brothers killing their older brothers, this has just always happened. Shakti says he brought Amar to the koil to ask for forgiveness. Can I just say, this man would not know a good apology if it hit him in the face. Like, I get it, he's like this big Don, mayor of Whoville, whatever the fuck. Like, he's never had to like apologize to people before, but like he's a grown-ass man who has a brain, and I'm sure he can fucking learn. Like, why is it now that I've seen him fail not once, but twice at apologies to his family? Like, this guy just sucks. Amar then asks him, "Do you still suspect me, or is all your suspicion gone?" To which Shakti does the most toxic Indian dad thing, which is instead of validating his son's feelings and reassuring him, he goes, "Idhukku mela enna seiyano? Vilundu kumbida soldriya?" Meaning, what do you want me to say? You want me to like fall at your feet? Which A, is not answering the question, and B, is not answering his question. Like, this is such a simple yes or no. "No, son, I do not suspect that you had a hit out on me." Or, "Yes, son, I thought you were trying to murder me and take over my throne." It's one or the other, buddy. Pick one. Pick one. Like, it's not that hard. Oh, this man pisses me off so much. Shakti also continues to say, oh my god, I hate this man. He says, I've put it past me, so why don't you? Basically, he's like, kid, get the fuck over it. You're being a sissy. And like, yeah, sure. If my dad was almost killed and his first thought of who did it was me, his child, and then proceeded to not believe me when I said it was me, and then proceeded to not confirm whether or not he still thought it was me, yeah, I wouldn't be able to get past that either. I'm sorry. Then Ahmed proceeds to do, honestly, exactly what I would have done, which is get out of the car into ongoing traffic, and walk home, which, big mood. In the next scene, Manikam comes to find Ahmed in bed, all like, you're sad. And he's like, look, can you forgive him for my sake? My brother's just like always like this. And then proceeds to drop the most insane line, in my opinion, of this entire movie, which is, which I don't even know if I want to translate that, but it basically means he'll serve a whole banger ass feast on your leaf with like a million delicious items, but in the corner, just a little bit, he will put a little bit of poo, just a tad bit of shit with your rasam chor. I don't know if this is like a common thing to say. I have never heard anyone in my family say this, but I was surprised Pikachu face when I first heard this. It reminds me of that one Prakash Raj line about the chicken. It has the same energy.
கோழி முட்டை போடும்போது தான் எடுக்கணும். முட்டை வரலன்னு வரல விட்டு நோண்டுனா கோழி செத்துரும்.
And I'm so sorry, I am not translating that one, so if you know, you know. But I always see this quote on Instagram, and people will do it as like a voiceover with like a Super 8 filter and like a bunch of like nature photos, like birds flying on a beach and stuff. And I don't know, it just gets me every time. I don't know why. I actually don't even know what movie this is from. So Manikam talks about how he used to be Shakti's like everything. He's his older brother, by the way. I don't know if I ever mentioned that. Manikam is the one who even started this gang. Yet, how did it become Shakti's? Which is a question that I'm curious about too. One they will not answer, by the way. Yeah, that's right, we don't learn how this happens. They're like, yeah, we're gonna open up the floor to a question that would actually be so pertinent to the plot. Like the idea of the younger brother taking over the gang that the older brothers started, and like that parallel with like the dad and like the son that is essentially in some way like kind of taking over this gang, right? Great parallel. Too bad they don't make the parallel. So yeah, we just like don't learn how this happens. And Manikam continues to ask, during Shakti's year in jail, Amar did everything and held down the fort. So how could Shakti suspect Amar of all people? It's cause he sucks, bro. That's like literally what it is. It's cause he fucking sucks. Anbaraj, the meddling meddlier, the one who we know wanted a change in power for like a while now, decides to drop like a little mini bomb on Ahmed. He's like, this isn't the first time Shakti's made a mistake like this. Remember Shakti's mistake with Ahmed's dad? He is such a, he's got a very, what's his face from like Tiruvalayadal and like other stories, oh my god, Naradar. He has a very like Naradar vibe, but like not as cool. So Anbaraj and Manikam proceed to tell Ahmed what really happened, except they don't actually say what happened. They tell Ahmed that they knew the guy was a paperman and not the police and still decided to shoot him. But they tell Ahmed that it was Shakti who shot him, which we know that it was some like other goon of Shakti's that shot Amar's dad. So Ahmed goes back to the building his dad was shot at, and we get shots of that and him as a kid doing the same thing while calling for Chandra. We then get what's supposed to be like a cute moment between Shakti and Jiva that I again find gross because this man is a cheating piece of shit, and Jiva wants him to take her with him. Where is he going, you may ask? Into the mountains. He's being all like lovey-dovey and I literally want to punch him in the face. So Shakti goes to Kailash as like a swaggy grandpa in his like new bomber jacket that Jiva got him. Shakti, Manikam, Patros, and Anbaraj are all driving up the mountain together in one car. And it's like really ominous as like the camera pans along like everyone's faces. There's something really Disney about the following shot. So the music, I don't know why there's like a vibe change all of a sudden, but it's like very Disney movie-esque. So like the car stops, everyone gets out, and this like Disney music is playing, and it pans over to Ahmed alone in another like car across the way. The camera also simultaneously pans over a cliff on the mountain, and you're like, wow, I wonder if they're gonna push this old man off the cliff, as the camera pans to Shakti looking over like the side of the mountain. Shakti turns around and everyone else is looking at him with like ominous faces, and this guy whose name I just can never remember points a gun at Shakti, and then like a fight ensues, which I don't get why Ahmed just didn't kill Shakti himself. I don't get it. Maybe it's because like he feels like Shakti is his dad. I don't know. But Shakti gets shot by Anbaraj and then again by Manikam. Shakti, in this like delirious daze because he's been shot, sees Ahmed like come forward and starts like cackling. I'm like wondering, because of the way the shot is set up, if Ahmed is supposed to be death in this instance. But honestly, I don't think this movie is smart enough for that. I personally would have alluded in some sort of way that Ahmed is like a stand-in for death personified, but what do I know? Ahmed then comes up to check if Shakti is still alive, and Shakti chokes him while Ahmed like chokes him back. Then Ahmed sends Shakti yeeting over the ledge to Shakti's obvious death, because that man's like 100 and fell like 1,000,000 feet. And then we cut to Ahmed creepily hovering over Indrani while she sleeps. What the fuck? And she like startles awake to suddenly say, he's gone to Nepal. And Ahmed's like, yeah, and he ain't coming back. And to get even more creepy, like father, like son, I guess, Ahmed has apparently brought Indrani's old pimp to the house, and Ahmed is like, you want to go back to Mumbai with her or come home with me? What in the creepy what? Ahmed then reiterates a quote by Shakti. Madam, I'm your only Adam. I hate it here. I truly hate it here. This is the bad place. Anyways, there is a uproar in the gang because everyone's like, how did Shakti die? Oh my god, how did he die? Ah! And Ahmed admits that he killed him and that he's the captain now. We cut to the snow mountains because what's this? Shakti's not dead? Who could have seen this one coming? Dude like pops his head out of the snow like a fucking Hun from Mulan. Like, I'm literally not even kidding. Also, he got shot twice. He should have just bled out, but he's like trekking in the snow. I'm so unbelievably confused. So he like Boy Scouts his way through the mountains and like removes his bullets out of his chest with his like bare hands, because that's how surgery works, I guess. And then he climbs to the top of this mountain, and I truly cannot make this up. He finds this monastery in like the distance, and there's like a snow avalanche, and he's like careening down the mountain in the snow avalanche. He's been shot twice, by the way, and he like magically just happens to fall all the way down to exactly the monastery's door, which like the Disney music is making sense now, because I'm like, oh, this part of the movie is giving Disney movie vibes, but okay. Shakti then spends 2 years at the monastery but is unable to become a monk because he just misses his wife and daughter too much for this life. We then cut to the police guy Jay, who is like shaving his ailing father's face for him. And as Ave Maria plays in the background, we are introduced to the new character, Anna, played by Aishwarya Lakshmi. Anna is a doctor and also Jay's ex-wife of 3 years. Why Ave Maria? Unclear. Don't know. Why anything in this movie? Don't fucking know. It's like they just pulled shit out of a hat. Jay's dad is like, I've suffered for too long. I want to die. Can you please let my son know that I just want him to let me go? We then cut to this girl who's like hurriedly looking for this guy named Kahlua, which I did not know a Kahlua was an Indian name. Is it an Indian name? Because I think of two things when I hear the name Kahlua and neither of them are India. It is Kahlua liquor and Kahlua pork. Anyways, this girl is like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? They're saying Shakti is back. This guy, by the way, is the guy that was holding the gun to Shakti's head, like when they were trying to kill him on the mountain. He's like the first guy that pulls the gun. I always forget his name. It's because his name is Kahlua, which is crazy because I actually swear before this point, we did not know his name. Like, I don't think they ever said his name out loud. Anyways, we've got Anburaj also freaking out about it. We got this comedy guy that I always forget his name. I just call him the Dum 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 guy, which I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but he like gets stabbed. It's a whole thing. This guy, it looks like, is on Team Shakti because apparently we gotta like pick sides now. It is very Team Edward, Team Jacob out here. And he actually, this specific guy, gets taken by police guy Jay from the train. Probably to like get information, I'm assuming, about Shakti. We then cut to Goa, it looks like, to pick up Manikam, who now finds out about his brother being alive. We then cut to Shakti on a helicopter pad, and he kills Anburaj. I don't know if the scene is like a green screen or like what is up with it, but it's like ugly as hell. Also, Shakti is like dressed up like a Star Wars character for some reason, and he like sticks Anburaj's head like into the helicopter blades, and the dude's head literally goes kablooey. Manikam is like freaking the fuck out, and I'm just like, dude, chill. Oh my god, like, have you never been in the mafia before? Like, have people never wanted to kill you before? Like, this should not be a new thing. So Ahmed has sent Patros and some goons to go kill Shakti, and Shakti like kills them all because he's learned martial arts from monks a la Doctor Strange. Shakti learns that Jiva got into a car accident and suffered from a TBI, so a traumatic brain injury. He goes to see her and Mange. He then meets his grandson, also named Shaktivel. Mange tells her dad that Jiva doesn't remember anyone, and Shakti goes to see Jiva, who's sitting alone on the beach. I don't like this trope. It is a trope that happens a lot in Indian movies, and it's quite annoying, where it's like, woman gets left behind by husband and goes cuckoo bananas. Like, it's almost unilaterally always the wife. It's weird. I don't get it. Shakti's all like sad and stuff, but I don't really care. He should have just stayed dead in my opinion, but what do I know? We cut to Amar eating with Indrani, and they're at one of those like comically long tables and are like sitting as far away from each other as possible on like opposite ends of the table. Manikam is like still freaking the fuck out. Indrani is now like an alcoholic, and we cut to Vadivagarsi at church, and Shakti like shows up behind her, and Shakti is wanting to see what is up with Indrani, which I'm like so over. We cut to Ahmed and Indrani walking on the beach, and Ahmed is all like, woe is me, Shakti killed my dad, what was I supposed to do, boo-hoo, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Indrani then tells him about how her shitty disgrace of an uncle like sold her to the streets when she was 12, and how Shakti was the one who saved her from a life of prostitution. Ahmed, wonderful man that he is, goes, you're mine, because women are property, and sometimes you just gotta call her a bitch. It's so weird because Ahmed has now like more than once been like, Shakti went out looking for Chandra and bring her back to me, but instead he found you, Indrani, and brought you back for me. As if women are like fucking Barbie toys for his ownership. Like, it's such a weird way to talk about human beings. And also, it's like, if instead of Chandra, Shakti brought back Indrani, shouldn't you be loving her like a sister? Like, the whole thing is just really weird and backwards to me. Ahmed is like, you were meant for me, not for him. This whole conversation is just like really uncomfy because the content in it makes me feel for Indrani. There is this moment where she is like, I should have never been born. I am dirt. And it's like, okay, she is literally just another victim, right? Except the dialogue is like so bad. It is like so clunky, and it like does not flow at all. The dubbing like doesn't match what they're mouthing on screen. They're like both not really acting with any emotion or like strong like emotion. The dialogue is also being spoken with like not that much conviction as I feel like it should be in this scene. Like, the whole scene just falls flat. And I also just like want to kind of delve into Indrani's character a little more, which is something I said I was gonna do. Indrani is a victim in all of this, right? Like, yes, she is a homewrecker. Yes, she aided a married man in cheating on his wife, but ultimately she is a victim. She was rescued by Shakti from a pimp, which, by the way, like, we don't know how old she was when she was rescued by Shakti because her flashback is played by herself, by Trisha, and there's like no visual indicator of like how old she is, at least not for me. And let's not forget, a lot of people have touted this as like essentially being like a Nayagan 2.0, and like Saranya's character in that is, I think, like 15 or 16 when like Kamal Hassan's character like saves her. So Shakti's character like saves Indrani here, right? Like he's like the one that like gets her out from under her pimp, but then he has her in a house that is funded by him, and other than this like possible playback singer career she might have, we don't know if she has any sort of job to fund her life. So we can only assume that Shakti funds all of it for her. He also literally just uses her for sex. Essentially, Shakti saved her from a prostitution house for her to just become his like own personal prostitute. And then she is essentially being held hostage by Amar. And let's be real, he's like definitely putting his hands on her because she is his property now and he has unfettered access to her. He clearly doesn't care about her consent. That's how he got her to like live with him to begin with. Like, he owns her. She's like a pack mule. So all in all, Indrani's just never like rescued from prostitution. She is never actually saved and is instead stuck in this perpetual like cycle of exploitation. This is a fact that is not handled well by the film at all, in my opinion. The thing is, I don't even hate Indrani as a character. I just don't like the framing of like home wrecking being cute, but also like as a character in the film, we are like not made to like or hate Indrani. Like, she is purely being used as like not even like a plot device, to be honest, because she doesn't really move the plot along in any sort of way, but she's purely being used as like a pretty face because Abhirami is apparently too old and wrinkly to be considered the pretty face of the movie, and Aishwarya is not in the movie enough to be it, I guess. And wait, what's that? Oh, are Abhirami and Trisha the same age? Insane. I really like movies. I really like film. I just really don't like this movie. I just think that using a character with such a tragic storyline, a storyline that is just so, first of all, just so real, like this is just something that is so prevalent in today's society, right? Like, this is not like a thing of the past. This is not like a fantastical like idea. There is like so much reality and truth in her specific like storyline, and I don't know, like using her as just a pretty face, it's just such a shitty move and disgrace, really, especially since Mani Ratna often gets like touted for having like strong female characters and like showing women in his movies as characters with like dimension and like depth, but almost every woman in this movie is shown with such disregard and lack of tact, and it is very disappointing. So Shakti is being questioned by the cops in like a rundown like library or something. Honestly, I kind of dig this library, not gonna lie. Also, a thing we can add onto the very short list of things I like in this movie, I appreciate that when we are in a dark area in this movie, whether it's like at night or like in a dark room, we can still see faces and people and things. I can see when it's dark and it's not just like a black fucking screen. So Policeman Jay basically wants like the names and records of everyone who's corrupt and basically wants to make an exchange with Shakti. In return, Shakti asks for 48 hours. Sadanand is now dead and his sister calls her son and is like, yo, he's dead. You can now go avenge your little brother, bro. And we now cut to Big Daddy Casino in Goa. Shakti has come after Manikam. Everything happens so slowly in this movie. So there's a scene right here with Shakti in the car with Manikam. I just wish it was more snappy of a scene. It's not also like one of those things, because like I don't want to be all like, oh, like everything has to be edited like Coco Melon and like really like fast. Like that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that like there are certain scenes that should be edited with like a slower pace and have you sit with it. And then there are certain scenes that you need to put the sense of urgency or like direness or seriousness in the clips somehow. And like everything is just so slow in this movie. So Ahmed shoots, I think, Kahlua guy on a boat. At least the guy went out eating biryani and meen varvel. Police guy Jay approaches Ahmed. Jay's goal, by the way, is essentially to incite fire within Shakti and Ahmed and hope that they just like take each other out. Sadanand's nephew is planting a bomb at Ahmed's house. Shakti calls Indrani. He's like in the next building over. I'm pretty sure he's about to see her get blown up, and yep, she got blown up because Ahmed left the house on an ATV. And I'm sorry, but Simbu's face here is so comical. So Shakti gets hurt because he was like in the building over when like the bomb went off, and he gets medical treatment by Dr. Anna. We learn that Dr. Anna was saved as a kid by Police Jay's dad. She lost her father and brother in a police shootout when she was a kid, and he saved her. Shakti is realizing something. Is this perhaps Chandra? And he asks her, is your name Chandra? And she's like, bro, you know my brother? Problem is, she shot him up with a sleepy time juice and the dude like passes out. Ahmed then gets beat up by Sadanand's nephew. Someone comes into the building Chandra and Shakti are in while like shooting, and like stuff goes down. Everyone gets told to come to the building where Ahmed's dad got shot. Everyone meaning Dr. Anna and Ahmed and like the police guy. At the building, Ahmed and Shakti fight, and I'm so sorry, but the singing in the BGM reminds me of Christmas music. Like it's literally Carol of the Bells. So Ahmed and Shakti fight. Eventually Ahmed gets like a gun on Shakti, and Shakti's like, I've seen death up close so many times, bro. Yemen is my friend, bro. You don't know him like I do. Ahmed reveals that he knows Shakti killed his dad, and Shakti's like, who told you that? Manikam? Yeah, buddy, he lied. God, the acting is so bad by Simbu. And like, I don't entirely blame him. Like, the dialogue does not leave much to work with. So Shakti turns the gun on Ahmed at the same moment that Chandra / Dr. Anna comes into the building along with Police Jay. Chandra runs up the stairs to see Ahmed. Salanan's nephew also shows up. Shakti shoots him, but not before the nephew gets like a shot at Ahmed. And also, side note, I really like Chandra's dress in this scene. In the like 1994 scene, there is a clip where Chandra and Ahmed are like with the papers, and Chandra is like, nadan fastı. And I think it would have been a really cute and nice callback to the 1994 scene if Ahmed was dying and was like, in his dying breath was like, "Hindi tadava nadan fastı." But what do I know? So Ahmed dies, and we cut to where we started the movie, Shakti alone in a field. He talks about how death took away his mother and then the child he raised, Ahmed. He says that death has taken everyone near him away except for Jiva. By the way, his daughter Mange is still alive. She has not died. We then cut to a scene of a kid like running through a field of like workers yelling first harvest of the season. He's calling for his grandma, and he hands the first harvest to none other than Jiva. Jiva then yells out De Shaktivel. And if we remember, Shaktivel once said he wants to retire on a big field, with her calling him De Shaktivel. Shakti then puts on his sunglasses and the movie ends. Okay. Wow, what a long-ass train ride to Nowheresville. This movie finishes with me being like, what is the point? Like, what is the point of all of this? What is your thesis, Mani Ratnam? Because I don't know it. I thought I did when I started the movie. I thought that this was gonna be a game between Death and Shakti. This is not what we got. So what is your thesis? What was the point? First of all, if that was your thesis, I don't get how this was a story between Shakti and Death. I'm also like extremely annoyed that while, yeah, you had some like nice looking shots here and there, you didn't use color to your advantage at all while storytelling. You didn't use like the concept of highlights and shadows at all to your advantage, in like a storytelling way, which, like, before anyone comes at me for nitpicking, this is something that Mani Ratnam has done and done well in movies like Maunaraga and like Ayudayalatu. And like, this is something that I think specifically this story would have benefited from. The characters are honestly like all half-baked. The women weren't even put in the oven. There are ideas for the plot, but there are so many like questions that go unanswered, and not in like a philosophical or like, oh, you need to like just think about this and come to your own conclusion kind of way. No, there are like questions unanswered that make for like plot holes and like confusion in the story. The dialogue is like not good. Like, people don't talk like people in this movie, but they also like don't speak in like a poetic way either, because I don't think that all dialogue has to be realistic, but like it's one or the other, right? It's either realistic or it's poetic, and it's neither. It's just clunky and bad. And I have a couple theories for why this movie turned out the way it did. The first one being, you have the story that Kamal Hassan came with, and then like the story that Mani Ratnam wanted to tell, and there was like some sort of disconnect between the two, which would kind of make sense for what we got. My other theory is that Mani Ratnam wanted to like make something new and like not fall into like classic or overused tropes and things, but in doing so, what he came up with instead just sucks. I actually think this movie would have been better if it was a bit more tropey and generic. I think if you went for more classic storytelling, this movie might have been good, or at least like passable. I think we should have gotten a classic training montage of Shakti at the monastery, and I think it's dumb that we didn't. My roommate was also going to go see this in theaters when it came out, and they decided not to, so here's your validation for not wasting your money. So that's Thug Life. If you agreed with the things that I said, or if you disagreed with the things that I said, let me know in the comments down below. This will be a series that I'm doing called Is It Any Good?, where I basically watch movies and decide if they are any good. This movie, by the way, not good. It is bad. It is actually just so bad. I have a few movies already on the docket that my roommate had requested, and then a couple that I just like wanted her to essentially see. If there are any specific movies that you would want me to talk about, please leave your suggestions. I am always very much open to taking suggestions. But that is all for today, and until next time, bye!